for potential there as well. And anyone who's seen him play this year, particularly the wing-back role with Forest, just recognises how good he can be. He drives forward, he's got pace. I think it was him who picked out the pass for Surridge last night, which was a great ball when he hit the bar. Could have put Forest 1-0 up, and he scored the odd screamer as well. So yeah, it does look as though he's got it all really for a modern-day wing-back. So I think when you're for that, you're going to have to pay big money, and 15 to 17 million is still a lot for a championship player, someone who's unproven in the top flight. But I don't think there'll be many who have doubts about Spence handling the step up. So yeah, I think whoever does, if Forest can get him for that fee, obviously it's going to depend on promotion, but it'd be a great bit of business for them.
What about you, Ben? Which side of the fence do you sit on?
It's an expensive fee for someone who's only really having the first standout season in the Championship. I know he's a young lad and he did play quite regularly for Middlesbrough last season, but he never showed this kind of, ability. And maybe it's just a change of system that he needed. But with Forest feeling like they're confident of doing a deal, I'm not 100% sure. If they go up, they've got a massive chance. But the kind of teams that have been linked with him, your Arsenals, your Tottenhams, your Man Cities, these are huge clubs with a lot more money than Forest, and they could potentially be kind of a head turner for Spence to move to a club that big. It's no surprise that the interest has come. He's performed against Premier League clubs in the FA Cup and stood out there. But in terms of the fee, around 15 to 17 million, I think that is a pretty fair price for someone of Spence's age and the potential he's got.
Yeah, we saw Forest miss out on automatic promotion last night, losing 1-0 to Bournemouth. But, the promotion is still there for Forest if they can manoeuvre their way through the playoffs successfully. And an additional bit of news on Forest that Football League World understands is that going up, they will definitely keep Brennan Johnson if they win promotion to the Premier League. So looking ahead to the playoff campaign then, Chris, there's a lot riding on it when we're talking about Spence's future and Johnson's future.
Yeah, it's massive for Forest, isn't it? Obviously, they would have hoped to be sitting second right now if they got the win last night, but it wasn't to be. And yeah, it's easy to go, well, the money that Johnson will bring in, if he is sold, Cooper will be able to reinvest into the squad, and then they can push for promotion next year. That's obviously the plan, but they're not going to get someone it's hard to imagine they'll get someone as good as Brennan Johnson playing for them next season. So yeah, it really is. It's huge for the club. Yeah, it's the fans obviously knew they have got a lot of exciting talents coming through, but Johnson has stood out more than most, and he does. Regardless, he will be playing in the Premier League, as we've touched on. So yeah, Forest fans have got a double reason. Obviously, they want to get promoted for themselves, but they know it's going to require, I wouldn't say a major rebuild, but there's going to be work to be done if they do remain a Championship club. It's not going to be as easy as just, we'll win promotion next season.
Another Football League World exclusive yesterday then was surrounding Liverpool centre-back Joe Gomez, and on the back of Fulham's title win, they're going to monitor his situation at Anfield with the view to making a move for him at some point in the summer transfer window. Of course, they are strengthening for Premier League and not the AFL, Ben. But do you see Liverpool letting Gomez go? I think that's probably the place to start.
Potentially. I mean, they probably want to keep him for squad depth. He's played in the cup a few times, but I don't think Gomez will be happy with the amount of game time he's actually got this season. He's kind of gone to fourth choice now, hasn't he, behind Matip, Van Dijk and Canate now. And for a player who's now 24, he's an 11-cap England international. He, as a player, will want to be getting out and playing football week in, week out to try and reignite that international career. And it doesn't look like that's going to be at Liverpool. So I can see Gomez wanting to leave. Can I see Liverpool letting him go? I think it'd take a significant fee, even though he is fourth choice. He's still a very talented defender. And Fulham, I don't know how much they'll have to spend this summer. They've already been linked to a lot of players, but I think they're more likely to have to go in for a loan move for Gomez, if anything. But yeah, I think Liverpool, if they are going to sell Gomez, it'll be for a lot of money and perhaps more than Fulham can afford.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a player here that's got, bags of Premier League experience. He's played in the Champions League. He's been in and around the international scene as well, Chris. If Fulham can get their hands on somebody like Gomez, it'd feel like a real sort of coup coming out of the Championship this season. Do you think that that's the type of calibre of player that Fulham need to be targeting?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and particularly at centre back, I think Tim Reams he's been very good this year, and the fans do appreciate what he's done. But he's probably someone you have to look to upgrade when you are in the Premier League, to maybe get a new partner for Adarabioyo, and Gomez would be perfect. Yeah, Ben's touched on it there as well. England international. This is someone who probably, like a year or two ago, was probably thinking to be a key man at this upcoming World Cup, and he's probably not going to make the squad now. So his stock has fallen. So that probably does give Fulham a chance of getting this done. But when a year ago you'd have said they had no chance at all. So in that sense, it would be a good signing, and he does fit the way that Silva wants to play. He's quite good in possession. He's got recovery pace if they push up and allows them to press. So yeah, I'd say this would be a great bit of business if they can get it done. The only issue is there's probably going to be a lot of competition, but Fulham, to be fair, they brought some good players in, didn't they? But the last time in the Premier League, thinking Areola particularly was one you didn't expect them to get. So maybe the appeal of London, and they do seem to pay some good wages, might make this one could happen.
Yeah, and another interesting point here that we'll just brush over as well. Liverpool and Fulham do seem to have a really good relationship when it comes to transfers. Harry Wilson made that move to Craven Cottage last summer. Carvalho is expected to go the other way this summer, and there was, of course, Nico Williams on loan. How important do you think that is, Ben?
I think it will be important. Yeah, they've kind of struck up in the last year that relationship and trust. So if Liverpool know they'll be dealing with a club who will do business the right way, it's just a case if Gomez actually wants to go there. I mean, he'll want to be playing Premier League football, but I can just imagine there might be a few bigger clubs on the scene who can probably pay a little bit more in transfer fee and wages. I think the likes of Newcastle and West Ham would be silly not to be in the running for Gomez, such as his ability. So I think if Fulham are in the race, then they'll fancy the chances. But it's especially the relationship with Liverpool. But I do think it's going to be a tough ask to get Gomez in the end.
Moving over to West Bromwich Albion, then a couple of stories coming out of the Hawthorns. We'll start with another Football League World exclusive, but this was from last week, so the West Brom fans might have already seen this floating around. We understand that the West Brom are interested in a move for Conor Hourihane, whose contract at Aston Villa will be expiring at the end of this season. Hourihane is, of course, on loan with Sheffield United at the minute. 28 appearances, I think it is. 1 goal and 4 assists for the Irish midfielder at Bramall Lane. Chris, do you think that this is the type of signing that the West Brom fans would get behind?
Maybe. I think you can make a case for him being a good signing, but he's also, you look at the squad, they've got Alex Mowatt, who's you can maybe say is a similar player. Obviously, left-footed, likes to get forward and score goals, or has done in the past. Not so much at West Brom. So maybe there's a case they don't really need him. But I think Bruce is, the way he's talking, he's going to make major changes this summer, so it's probably natural that he wants to stick with players that he knows and he trusts. He's obviously worked with Hourihane at Villa, and he is a pretty reliable professional, isn't he? He's done it over the years in the Championship. He hasn't been excellent for the Blades this year, but he's shown flashes of quality. So he's certainly someone that could bring something to the midfield. Maybe the Albion fans would want someone maybe a bit younger, maybe offer a bit different to Mowatt in that sense. So it's one of those, you probably wait and see how it plays out. It's not going to be a bad signing bringing in someone like that, but maybe not the most inspiring either.
Yeah, you've just touched on it there, Chris. He did work with Bruce at Aston Villa before. Do you think that makes this sort of deal make a little bit more sense, Ben?
Yeah, I think it does. If he's going for players that he's tried and trusted before, then it does make sense. And he's got a lot of Championship experience, hasn't he, Hourihane, with not just Aston Villa, but Barnsley as well. That's where he, kind of burst onto the scene as a top Championship player. But I agree with Chris in the sense that we've got Alex Mowatt as well. They're both very similar players, both left-footed, both like to shoot from distance, and just struggle to believe that they'll fit in the same team. Even if he does play a 4-2-3-1, one can play deep, one can perhaps play in the number 10, but I just don't see them both fitting into the same side. Hourihane he's not started a lot for Sheffield United this year. He's been in and out of the team, and he only got his first goal recently, didn't he? For United, but he'll definitely do a job at a Championship club next season. Whether it's West Brom, I'm not sure. like I said, I can't see them both at Mount and Horahan playing in the same team. But if Bruce thinks he can make that work, then it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, the midfield area is obviously one that West Brom are going to be strengthening, and one confirmed bit of news coming out of the Hawthorns is regarding Jason Malumbi. He's now sealed a permanent move to the Hawthorns after his loan from Brighton. He's signed a 3-year deal with the Athletic, reporting that the fees are around £900,000 to take him there. It's been a little bit of a mixed reaction from the West Brom fans on the back of this. Chris, I'll come to you. Your initial thoughts on this deal, whether it's good, bad?
Yeah, I think for the fee mentioned, it's pretty good business really, because 900,000 doesn't get you that much nowadays. And Malumbi hasn't had the best of seasons, but he's still a useful squad player. He's still young, so he will play a part next season. But you can also understand why the fans are a bit underwhelmed, because he hasn't had the best season. He hasn't kicked on maybe as they would have expected and made himself like the main man in the midfield. So yeah, I wouldn't expect him to be a regular starter for Bruce next season, but we know what the Championship's like, don't we? The games come thick and fast. You need a good squad, and I think for that price, bringing in Malumbi, he's still he's quite aggressive in the way he plays. He'll cover the pitch well, so he does have some qualities, and I think for that price, it's a good deal for Albion.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to the thoughts of one of our West Brom fan pundits, Matt. He sort of said that Malumbi, he felt, was a very Valerian Ismail style signing. Good, as you mentioned there, Chris. He covers ground well and that kind of thing, but he's maybe lacking a little bit, on the technical side of the game. So sort of combining this with, we've just been discussing Horahan, Ben. It's maybe one in and then adding another one like that.
Potentially, yeah. I struggled to work Malumbi out, to be fair. He played for Preston on loan, I think it was last season, and he didn't really do much at all. I think Millwall fans liked him when he was on loan there. He's a battler, he's a willing runner, but he didn't. He was kind of like running about like a headless chicken for North End. I didn't really seem to understand where he fit into the team. I think he's not played a lot under Steve Bruce at West Brom, but I think the deal was based on appearances and a fee being triggered because of that. So I don't think Bruce really had a choice in bringing him in, but now he's got him permanently. He probably needs to start blooding him a bit more, and he's perhaps the long-term successor to Jake Livermore. Perhaps Livermore's in his 30s now, and if Malumbi can do a bit of developing this season, then he could be a long-term fit in that kind of ball-winning running role in the midfield, and he could complement Horahan well if he does come in.
Couple of other stories just to run you through this afternoon. We'll start with Romani Redmonds Green, the Huddersfield Town centre-back who's been on loan with Rotherham United. He's played a key role in Rotherham winning promotion back into the Championship. Paul Warne wants him to remain with Rotherham heading back into the Championship next season. Ben, do you think that that's going to be something that Huddersfield look to agree with Rotherham?
I think it potentially depends on, the league that Huddersfield are in. They're in the playoffs, and depends if they go up or not, but they've had a very solid defensive season. Levi Colwill, if he comes back or not, I'm not sure, but could Romani Redmonds Green fill that role next season? He potentially could do. He's played really well in League One for Rotherham, but just the solidity of that Huddersfield defensive season, I maybe see it hard to see Redmonds Green playing a full season in the Championship for Huddersfield. So I think the best move would probably be another loan to Rotherham. I think he's on a contract for another 2 years at Huddersfield, so there's still time there for him to make an impact. But, Paul Warne really likes him, and he'd slot straight back into that Rotherham defence next season in the Championship. So I think the best move for all parties would be another loan move, but I wouldn't also be shocked to see Carlos Corban take a view in pre-season to see how he fares and then make a decision from there.
How do you feel about this one then, Chris? Let's say, for example, Huddersfield are still in the Championship next season. Rotherham have come up. Can you see them agreeing to another loan?
No, I think it'd be a lot tougher then. I think, as we said, if they do win promotion, he's not going to be playing in the Premier League, so you need to get him to get minutes, and that's going to be in the Championship with Rotherham. That would suit all parties in that sense. But if you're if you look in Huddersfield in the Championship, even like if they do miss out, they're never going to be the biggest spenders, are they? So they're not going to. Corbrand's going to have to work with what he's got, and then he'll look to keep the player, I think, then make him part of the squad. But as Ben says, it'll be about pre-season really. Then it's down to the player to show he deserves a place. But if he does that, I think there's no reason why he can't slot into the Huddersfield defence if they remain in the Championship. Moving
on to another piece of speculation then. Malcolm Ebiowei of Derby County. I hope I've said that right. We've been having a debate off air about how to say it and whether we were going to get it right. But the Sun are reporting that Leeds, Spurs and Fulham are now interested in Derby County's 18-year-old winger. He had a huge impact for the Rams in their win over Blackpool at the weekend with a goal and an assist. The assist was from a lovely free kick. Ben, do you think that it's justifying this level of interest?
He's a young player, isn't he? He's not had a lot of experience in the Football League. I think it's about 15 or 16 appearances. But I guess when you're playing for a team under Wayne Rooney, you are going to get a lot of, interest, especially when Derby are getting the media attention they are. But Ebiowei's kind of, there's been a few youngsters that have come to the fore for Derby this season. Cashan at the back and Luke Plange's already got a move to Crystal Palace. And from what I've seen of Ebiowei, he's been pretty exciting, really. He's willing to take on fullbacks, and he got his first goal at the weekend against Blackpool. He's got a couple of assists as well. So I think what's best for Ebiowei though is probably staying at Derby. I know they can't offer contracts yet because of the takeoff not going through. But the clubs that are interested, Leeds, I know they do they've blooded in a few young players this season, but the likes of, Tottenham, Crystal Palace, can't see him getting first team football in for the foreseeable future, and he's just going to be stuck in the under 23s, and not sure that'll be best for his development. His agent's probably got other ideas as to what's best for Ebiowei, but I can see him, if Derby do offer him a contract and he stays there, I can see him flourishing and becoming an even better player. He's already showing some signs of really exciting talent, and I'm not sure a move to the Premier League right now is going to be the best career move.
Yeah, just this report from the Sun, underlining that Tottenham, Fulham and Leeds, two of those are guaranteed Premier League football next season. Chris, do you think, do you agree with Ben that level might be, a step too far at this stage?
Yeah, definitely. I agree entirely. I think the way Premier League clubs operate now, it just seems that they see anyone play well in like a run of games and it's let's try and sign him, let's pick him up on the cheap. I think that's obviously the thing here. They think they'll be able to get a bargain. So you can understand why they're doing that, but for all the player, you've got to look at staying at Derby. I think as Ben mentioned there, he is a player that's really exciting to watch, the way he takes the ball, beats players, and his numbers hadn't reflected how good he'd been, I don't think, until he got obviously the goal and assist on the final day. But yeah, he's someone I hope Rooney's saying it to a lot of the Derby squad, really, that they should stick together. I think you wouldn't say they can do something special because Derby, obviously, League One, they should be, even with the takeover, looking to get back up. But I think playing a key part in a promotion push in League One would be a lot better for him. And if he does kick on as we think he could, then those offers are going to come further down the line. Obviously, if you see the money now, it's obviously hard to turn it down. But I think if he's looking long term and backs his ability, I think a year in League One would be perfect.
Finally, then we'll discuss Coventry City midfielder Gustavo Hamer. He's had a really good season, and Football Insider are linking him with a move to Brighton and Hove Albion. 3 goals and 9 assists from midfield this season. Ben, this is one of the most exciting AFL prospects out there heading into the summer.
Yeah, he is. He's kind of at the age now where he can still develop, but he's been kind of the centrepiece of a Coventry team that's been pretty exciting to watch in the Championship this season. I'm just not 100% sure that Brighton are the perfect fit for him. They've got quite a few young midfielders who are up and coming, Moises Caicedo amongst others, and I just fear he might get lost in the shuffle a little bit if he goes to Brighton. I think there'll be other clubs interested. I could see him fitting in at, say, a Leeds United or a Brentford. But I think Coventry will be fielding offers for him this summer. I don't think he'll be the only player from that club who Premier League teams will be interested in, but he's certainly got a lot to like about him. He's he's good on the ball. Obviously, he's got 9 assists and 3 goals, so he's a goal threat. And he's very tenacious and very hardworking. So I can see why Premier League clubs are interested in him.
Yeah, how about you then, Chris? Do you think that have an impact in the Premier League next season if he gets a move?
Yeah, I do. I think he's kind of a player. Nearly almost as soon as he joined Coventry, I think people recognise this. They've got a player here who's going to be really good, and I think he still had areas of his game that he needed to iron out, is just to improve and maybe a bit of consistency. But that has come in the past year or so. So I think he is ready to make the step up. I think he signed that new deal, didn't he, earlier this year? But it wasn't. I think it still only runs till 2024. So that kind of struck to me that they're kind of hoping that that's just guaranteed Coventry maybe a bigger fee than they would have expected, and it's not to rule out a move this summer. So yeah, I think the Premier League clubs will be looking. And I think if the money's right, I think a move could happen, and then it'll be a shame for Coventry, but it shows they've been doing something right in terms of the scouting and the recruitment.
That concludes this afternoon's Transfer Zone show. Thanks to anybody that's joined us and got themselves in the comments as well. We had a few flittering in, but just a little bit too late, and we'd moved off topic. Thanks to Ben and Chris as well for joining me. Coming up later in the week on Football League World TV, we're going to be looking ahead to the League One playoffs this weekend. Some massive games as we reach the crunch point of the season. So please do join us for those. And until then, take care.